Imagine walking down this street in 1936 Germany, where freedom was already vanishing and every corner screamed loyalty to a single regime. Towering swastika flags blanket the buildings, turning an ordinary city into a theater of control. People stroll, shop, talk, yet above them looms a constant reminder. The Nazi grip was absolute. Just 3 years after Hitler seized power, propaganda wasn't just posters, it was the air people breathed. This photo doesn't just show a street. It shows a society already swallowed by dictatorship, where even daily life became part of a terrifying performance. At Ellis Island in 1908, immigration officers were stunned by what they saw: an 11-month-old baby weighing 55 pounds. In an era when malnutrition and poverty were the norm, this child stood out as a shocking anomaly. The mother, a Russian immigrant, had just arrived in America searching for a better life, carrying not only hope but also a child whose size defied expectations. This haunting photograph captures more than curiosity. It reflects the harsh scrutiny immigrants faced, where even a baby's body became a spectacle under the cold gaze of a new world. New York, December 1956. Two men walk through Times Square carrying a live pipe bomb in a basket. Their faces hidden under crude blast helmets. They belong to the bomb squad called to disarm the terror left behind by George Metesky, the Mad Bomber. For 17 years, Metesky planted explosives across the city, turning theaters, terminals, and streets into potential death traps. This chilling photograph freezes the raw fear of an era when one man held New York hostage, and bomb disposal meant literally walking danger out by hand. One woman, one sign, and the courage to defy an entire system. In 1937 Los Angeles, while fear and silence kept thousands in the shadows, she walked the streets alone, protesting illegal immigration raids that tore families apart. Surrounded by stares, she carried a message too dangerous for most to speak aloud: stop the raids. Her solitary stand captured the raw defiance of a community under siege, proving that sometimes history shifts not with armies, but with the bravery of one voice refusing to be silenced. They look like any young couple in love, radiant smiles, a fresh naval uniform, the promise of a future together. But this isn't just any pair. This is Jimmy Carter, decades before the presidency, sitting beside Rosalind, the woman who would stand by him through every triumph and every storm. Married for an astonishing 77 years, their bond became one of the most enduring love stories in American history. What began as a moment in the back seat of a car became a lifetime that redefined devotion, resilience, and partnership. The sky went black at noon. Birds panicked, animals froze, and for 6 haunting minutes, the world in Chiapas felt like the end of time itself. On July 11th, 1991, one of the longest solar eclipses of the century cast a chilling shadow across Mexico. People stood in awe and terror as the sun vanished behind the moon, transforming day into night. Cameras captured not just the eclipse, but the chaos it unleashed in nature, a reminder of how fragile and small we are under the vast power of the universe. Frozen in time, yet alive with power. In 1908, this Ojibwe Native American was photographed gliding across still waters in a birch bark canoe, weapon raised, ready to strike. But this is more than a picture of survival. It's a portrait of resilience. The Ojibwe people crafted these canoes from nature itself, light yet strong enough to carry them through endless lakes and rivers. Here, tradition and defiance ripple across the water, a reminder of cultures that refuse to vanish despite centuries of erasure. One man, one canoe, carrying the spirit of an entire people. A neon sign burns above them, colored entrance. 1956, Alabama. A mother and her daughter, dressed in elegance and innocence, forced to wait under a glowing reminder that dignity had a price. Imagine the child's eyes reading those words for the first time, learning not from books, but from a cruel sign that divided human worth. This is the face of segregation, ordinary lives, made extraordinary by injustice. One photo, one street, exposing the brutal normalcy of racism in America's not-so-distant past. The room is thick with smoke, silence, and dread. Billie Holiday steps forward at Cafe Society, New York's first integrated nightclub. Her voice rises with strange fruit, not a love song, but a haunting cry, describing black bodies hanging from southern trees. The audience freezes. Glasses stop clinking. No one breathes. In that instant, Holiday forces America to face its own nightmare: lynching, racism, violence. This was not entertainment. It was resistance, a torch lit in the darkness, carried by a woman unafraid to sing the unspeakable. Before they conquered Hollywood, they were just kids chasing laughs. Judd Apatow, David Spade, Alan Covert, and a young Adam Sandler stood outside the Santa Monica Improv, dreaming of the big stage. No fame, no millions, just raw ambition, late-night sets, and the hope that comedy would change their lives. This rare photo freezes the moment when future giants were unknown faces, waiting for their shot. Looking back now, it's almost unreal. These ordinary nights turned into the beginning of an American comedy revolution. Two worlds, one photograph. In 1977, President Jimmy Carter welcomed Nigeria's leader Olusegun Obasanjo to the White House. Carter, in his classic American suit, stood beside Obasanjo, dressed in regal Yoruba attire that radiated power and tradition. The image symbolized more than diplomacy. It was a collision of cultures, a reminder that global leadership isn't always defined by the same uniform. In the tense Cold War era, this meeting signaled a new recognition of Africa's rising influence. Side by side, they embodied two different paths converging in a single historic moment. Rows of coffins under a baseball scoreboard. This isn't a game, it's a graveyard. On September 19, 1985, Mexico City was struck by an earthquake so violent it turned stadiums into morgues. Thousands died, entire families erased in seconds, and the government struggled to handle the overwhelming loss. Here, a masked security guard stands watch over makeshift coffins inside Seguro Social Stadium, a chilling reminder of how quickly normal life can collapse. One moment, a city is alive. The next, it's digging mass graves beneath its own monuments. A face wrapped in cloth, crowned with thorns, and a cactus pad nailed to the chest. This isn't a scene from a nightmare. It's a vow of faith. In 1940, at the San Juan de los Lagos Fair in Mexico, photographer Enrique Diaz captured this married woman performing brutal penance. Her wounds bled into a dish she carried, each drop an offering to the Virgin in exchange for miracles. Beside her, her husband watched. To outsiders, it looks like torment, but to her, it was salvation through pain. Imagine walking down the street and seeing kids casually doing their errands, on stilts. In Sidcup, England, during the 1950s, stilt walking wasn't a circus act, it was a childhood pastime. These two girls, balancing high above the pavement with shopping bags in hand, show just how ordinary it once was. For children of that era, fun didn't come from screens or gadgets. It came from skill, balance, and a fearless sense of play. What looks daring to us today was simply another afternoon adventure for them. Imagine needing a coin just to watch your favorite show. In 1963, this boy sat in front of a pay television where a slot meter on the side demanded a sixpence for every hour of viewing. No coin, no cartoons. It was a strange mix of wonder and restriction when television was still a luxury and every minute had a price. For families, it meant choosing carefully what was worth watching. For kids, it turned entertainment into anticipation, and every coin dropped felt like magic buying time with the screen. A Roman toga, a Shakespearean tragedy, and a cigarette dangling coolly from his lips. This is Marlon Brando in 1953 on the set of Julius Caesar. The photo captures Hollywood's ultimate rebel, blending ancient Rome with mid-century swagger. Brando wasn't just acting. He was redefining masculinity, charisma, and raw presence on screen. His performance as Mark Antony earned him an Oscar nomination, but it was moments like this, caught between takes, that cemented his legend. A man out of time, commanding every era he stepped into. What looks like a bizarre punishment is actually a classroom experiment from the early 1900s. These children aren't wearing dunce caps. They're wearing anti-distraction hats. Teachers believed that forcing students to block their peripheral vision would keep them focused on their schoolwork. The result? Rows of kids with giant paper cones on their heads, turning education into something out of a surreal painting. Today, it feels absurd, almost cruel, but back then it was seen as progressive discipline. Proof that the line between innovation and ridicule can be razor thin. A woman balancing a swordfish on her head. This striking image from Calabria, Italy, around 1945, looks almost unreal. But for coastal villages, this was daily life. Swordfish were prized catches, and women often carried them from the docks to the markets, their strength and balance turning survival into spectacle. Notice the sheer size of the fish. It nearly dwarfs her frame, yet she walks with calm determination. In a world rebuilding after World War II, scenes like this captured resilience, tradition, and the raw bond between people and the sea. Two women, standing proud with trophies in hand. This is Washington, D.C., 1922, at the Tidal Basin Bathing Beauty Contest. But don't be fooled by their modest swimsuits. In that era, even showing knees in public was controversial. These contests shocked conservatives, yet they symbolized a new generation of women challenging norms, embracing independence, and redefining beauty after World War I. Look closely, their expressions say it all: defiance, pride, and a touch of mischief. This wasn't just a beauty pageant, it was a rebellion wrapped in fashion and courage.